Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to episode 16 of Coachy Shit, the Coachy Shit podcast. She's Theresa and Ryan.
He's Ryan Stanley.
And we are here for another riveting episode of your favorite Coachy Shit podcast.
And this time we're eating bananas.
Bananas it is. Thank you.
Your banana.
We like to keep things healthy. Yogurt. No, not yogurt. Jell-O last time.
What are you talking about healthy?
Bananas. It's fruit.
I'm just down for the eating of things.
You're an eater.
I am. That's the first thing you said when I met you. It's like, hey, I'm Theresa. I'm an eater. What's up?
What should we do for lunch?
I don't know.
Anyway.
A gift card.
Coming in today's podcast,
Coming in.
pre-banana, I had some things I wanted to discuss.
Post-banana, has anything changed?
No, I just wanted to make this a democracy, just in case there was anything that you wanted to discuss.
Look, I have no expectations here other than the fact that I expect you to never make eye contact as you eat a banana ever again.
Thank you. I will
Good.
do that again
Good.
in the future.
Go team. But
expectations.
that was the thing.
It's a great place to start. I had two topics, actually.
Okay, what were they?
First one is expectations. Not just expectations.
Do not look at me and bite the banana. It's not even funny.
Done and done.
So we have a coworker who actually will, she has a very strong reactive gag reflex to an unripe banana.
It's fair.
You know who I'm talking about.
Actually, I don't.
The rabbit.
Still got nothing on that one.
And the moose.
Yes, okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So, just saying. But, expectations, and what was the other one?
Expectations and the pros and cons to leaving my phone on silent.
Oh,
Because there is a social piece to that I'm learning. I find the pros outweigh the cons.
My phone literally just vibrated.
There we have it. 3:33. I'm finding I prefer it, but I'd like to have a conversation around it and just get some of your perspective and see.
What are you expecting to get from that conversation?
My expectations are that you will fill me with knowledge about your vast life's experience with cell phones
Oh, yeah.
and social commentary and interaction, and give me some feedback. Where would you like to begin? One of those two topics.
I think as you cover your eyes and take a bite of banana, I think you got some peel on that one. You got to look.
I think that's where the protein is.
Something. Whew, it's going to be interesting on the other end.
Mm-hmm. Stringy.
Nope, nothing.
All right.
I feel like there was an ancient torture tactic. Actually, you know what? Never mind. It involves bananas. I'm good. We don't have to talk
Go
about
there.
it.
That'll be episode 8.
I read a
87.
weird book about honey,
Okay.
and there were bananas involved. It's all good. That's in episode 87.
All right, cool.
Tune in later. But I think, how about we start with expectations? Because, I mean, I can definitely relate that part of the conversation into the cell phone thing.
Nice.
Pretty effectively.
There's a reason why we're on the same team. That's high five.
I really bring up the average.
I'm excited for the transition. So, I have a friend who got a fight with her sister. Pretty severe fight.
Oh, okay.
And, we were talking, and she said to me, she's just like, I'm basically, the short of it is that her sister was basically just kind of fighting dirty, like, bringing up things that weren't necessary, had nothing to do with the argument in hand. And so my friend was like, I'm just so disappointed. Like, I just, so why would she do that? Why was very upset. And obviously it's your sister. It's somebody who's important to you.
I have one of those, yeah.
And,
she's important.
After, some conversation and thinking about it, we really got to the point where I explained to her that I was curious if it wasn't just that she really just had expectations that weren't met. The other person didn't really do anything quote unquote wrong.
The sister or the friend had the unmet expectations?
The sister.
Okay.
The friend had the unmet expectations. So she expected her sister to be one person.
Oh.
And when her friend proved to not meet those expectations by behaving the way she did, it wasn't that she did something wrong. It wasn't her. I mean, so my friend wasn't upset. She didn't realize it this way, but she wasn't angry at that person, or I guess she was angry at the person, but the lesson was it's really, she had expectations that weren't met, and that's really all she was upset about.
Okay, so I get that, and I've had complicated relationships with any number of siblings or family members. And I mean, at what point is it expectation, and is it really just a standard for your relationship?
Well, both. You expect to have standards in your relationship. And if you don't have those expectations, not that you, quote unquote, shouldn't.
I don't really understand that. I don't expect to have standards. I just have them, period.
Well, but does it mean the other person does?
That's great. But
So,
I think that's where you have to allow for that growth of that other person. It's like, all right, well, this standard isn't being met. Now what do I want to do with that?
Exactly.
But that's not an expectation.
Well, it's about how long am I going to sit and be mad or angry at this person for being who they are?
Okay, well, that's a completely different story.
So that's kind of more where I was going. How much do I want this emotion to be stuck in my body, and I'm upset with this person and angry at this person? Are we not going to be friends anymore? Or am I just going to recognize that my expectations were here, my standards were here? I didn't know this until just now, but they are not here. They as in the other person.
Sure.
And so now my expectations, I guess the point is it's about self-control and awareness and deciding who you want to be. Yeah.
Yeah, it's choice. So at some point, like, I'm really bad at the slow burn. Like, I get so thrown off over a long period of time, small incremental, like, oh, that person did that. Like, oh, it's not like earth-shattering, groundbreaking, but it's like a small little thing. And then there's another small little thing. And like, it's this compounding, lowering of standards.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I am just like, I fall prey to that all the time. Recently.
The sneak attack.
It is. It's like the bait and switch, but it's the long-term bait and switch.
Right.
It's like,
it's the long game,
that's
but not the
who
long
you really
game that we
are.
like.
Oh, and you can't keep up the facade anymore. Surprise. But, like, I'm no good at that. But when there's just, like, an ultimate, like, this person did something, they fucked up, whatever they did, they said something, to me that becomes an indicator of who they actually are, their character.
Right.
But at that point, like, you have to, like, for me, and I think this is very general, I've kind of done a little bit of reading about it.
Sure.
The idea of, like, being mindful of how you feel, the whole thing, being aware of that. But you have to go through the sadness, the grief, the anger, whatever the emotion of it is, to move forward.
Sure.
And for some people, that period is a little bit longer. For some people, it's really short.
Right.
But ultimately, you have to decide. It's like, okay, well, now what? Like, do I want to keep this person in my life? Do I want the nature of our relationship to change? Can I just accept this and move on?
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. And so really the whole point in bringing it up is really from a self-awareness piece for any of our listeners and for myself. It was more like, okay, at any moment, as shocked as I may be by this person's behavior, I'm still in control of my thoughts and how I want to show up moving forward.
Okay.
And with self-awareness, those, in my opinion, it might, the length of time where you are frustrated, upset, disappointed, whatever it may be, would lessen as we become more aware of our own ability to choose how we want to perceive that relationship.
Sure. I mean, that's definitely a process over time.
Yeah.
And it makes me think of, so there's that guy, he's like the president of America.
Got it. Funny hair.
Yeah, the whole thing is funny.
Yeah.
But, like, not funny haha. It's like funny sad,
Right.
confused, and just kind of want to, like, maybe someone should hold you close.
Right.
Not like that kind of holding, but like a loving mother tenderness,
it'll be okay.
kind of,
Maybe
what happened? Who did what to you?
Right.
Kind of thing. But I remember when that whole thing happened, I woke up the next morning and I felt like I woke up in a different country. It was really crazy. And a lot of stuff went down in Houston before the hurricane, before Harvey. And I messaged my friend who is Muslim, his wife. They're absolutely wonderful. He's family to me.
Yeah.
And his wife, she wears the hijab, so the headscarf. And there's some crazy stuff that happened in Houston, a lot of like Muslim targeting and everything. He's Muslim.
Yeah.
And I messaged him. I was like, hey man, just checking in. Like, how you doing down there? Like, what's going on? You guys good? Like, what's up? And I get chills thinking about it. He just sent me back. He's like, you know, we're good. We live in a great country. Nothing changes for us. We still are who we are.
Right.
Nothing changes for us. And like that always like, oh my gosh, like it hit me. And somebody said the word a little bit, I think maybe the same day I was introduced to the word that's unfuckwithable. You are so solid in who you are that you are unfuckwithable. My biggest opportunity for growth there is like that slow burn where someone slowly chips away unintentionally.
Yeah.
But like you become unfuckwithable. So when you have these encounters where someone is acting very out of character or just in a way that you don't know to be them, you become unflappable. There's nothing that can throw you off. And it's like, okay, that's who you are. Good. Now I just have like, I have like almost like a baseball card of statistics. Like, okay, so plays dirty. Got it. Like,
right. And when that happens again, and kind of here's where the bonus comes from. Because the next time that happens, if you choose to continue your relationship, whatever it is, next time that happens, you're not surprised. And you're not disappointed.
Well, that doesn't happen overnight.
Well, but it could.
Yeah, but I would say that actual long-term sustainable change is a process.
Yeah.
And that's not to say like, oh, well, it's a long game. I can be upset as long as I want. It's more so like, no, there's an active process here. And if you do get riled up over something, it's not the end of the world, but like, now.
Right. And that was kind of my point.
Still consciously move forward, but
It doesn't mean it's not going to flap you or make you unflappable. I mean, you're still going to have that effect, but at least you, by being aware to begin with, like when you start off like, hey, this happened once, it's like the burn me once, burn me twice thing.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of the...
Yeah, I mean, there's a stoic element to that as well. But I would think it's always difficult, especially with family.
Yeah.
You kidding me? Like...
Well, it's like, okay, I'm supposed to have this relationship. This is my sister, or this is my, whomever it is.
Well, a lot of times that breaches trust on some level.
Well, that's what it's all, of course.
Yeah, and trust, like, breaching trust is one of the worst things you can ever do. Like, it's because you break what that person's semblance of reality is.
Right.
Like, I just feel like that's unacceptable.
And the lesson becomes, it's like, okay, so now I know that I'm unable to trust this person with X.
I have had opportunities where someone, even recently, has broken trust, and I'd like to think that I'm that person that's like, oh, it's okay, not a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal, but it's like, no, you can forgive and move forward. Trust is so hard to get back once it's broken.
Absolutely.
Especially with family, because they're like, it's not like, somebody that you met and you worked with, and like, oh, you can't trust them anymore. They quit, they're gone, like, they're out of your life forever. Right. It's your fucking family.
Yeah.
Like, you guys share DNA stuff.
Right.
All of it. A lot of it. Most of it.
But there's that... So it's not that everything should just be fine or that you should or shouldn't trust them again, as much as it is just, okay, so what do I want to do with this information? How can I use it to serve me instead of sitting in a place of victim or anger or stress or frustration or lack of sleep or whatever it is that, is having an effect on your life based on somebody else's actions or somebody else's behavior. And that, again, that's not to belittle anybody's response or feelings about having trust broken or whatever it may be.
I would say, though, that's not always just the easiest choice, to be, like, very hurt and upset or angry and then just be like, I'm going to be happy now and make a choice. I get it. You're saying it's a longer-term thing. Yeah. But ultimately, I think, for me, I do get stuck there sometimes where I'm like, this is just so sad. This, like, you've seen it. I get, like, really sad about certain things. I'm like, this is just so sad, especially when people, like, the whole potential thing. If you're filled with potential and you just don't do anything about it, I get sad for you.
You find that
I mourn the loss of your future self and the fact that you don't want to be that person.
Right.
And then I move on with my life. Like, I have to mourn. But for something like family, for me, it always comes down to, like, I can't sweep anything under the rug in my life at this point.
Right.
So, like, I will actively, like, either avoid you or, like, hey, you're playing dirty. I love you. What's really going on?
Here's the scoop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so hard with family, though. It's complicated.
But again, it comes down to choice for you to be able to say that and shine a light on whatever it is that's bothering you.
That's very true.
And hopefully, in a family relationship, somebody or both of you respect the relationship to acknowledge that light being shown and then also take responsibility for your side of it. And somebody who may fight dirty might not do that. And again, it's another opportunity for you, whomever, to become aware of the level of the relationship and their expectations.
Yeah.
So I think the other side of this is having expectations in general. I don't want to sound like a negative situation, but I think by putting up expectations, you automatically set yourself up for a potential disappointment.
Yeah, but I gotta say, I think you're wrong not necessarily wrong, but I would challenge the fact that, like, with my family, I don't even expect it. It's like, I know you to be a respectful person who doesn't say or do certain things. It's not necessarily an expectation. It's the fact that I know you to be who you've been our entire lives. And for you to do something outside of that that's hurtful, sometimes intentionally or not, is kind of, it's jarring. It's not necessarily saying, oh, I'm letting go of my expectation. It's more so like, to me, it doesn't even, it's not even expectation. It's like, are you okay? Like, what the fuck? What's going on?
Well, I think there is expectation, though. I mean, you're saying it's not, but it is. I expect you to behave a certain way.
But, so we've had this conversation before, expectation versus standard. If every single time you go to a Phish show, you buy a ticket, and they're selling you a ticket for a concert, but
Right.
you show up and there's no concert.
Right.
Was your expectation not met?
No, my expectation was not met.
But the thing is that really an expectation when someone is
Yes.
it's just a lie.
No, it's still an expectation.
I just don't see it. You're gonna have to
I
like
expected
make
to
me
see a concert, right? I walked away. I was pissed off. I didn't see the band that I wanted to see.
No, I'm not even talking about your expectation. I'm saying you bought a ticket to a concert, you show up, there's no concert.
Yeah.
Is that somebody not meeting an expectation?
Yes.
Or is it not fulfilling a commitment or a standard?
Why can't it be both?
I'm asking for clarity's sake. It could be both. I'm trying to understand how it's not just an expectation, because honestly, then the whole world runs on expectations.
They do.
I don't think I agree with that.
Nice.
How is flow? Does flow state involve expectation?
Well, that's the whole point. It's like, okay, if I don't have expectations and I'm in flow, then no. That's, I guess.
Did you ever read The Surrender Experiment?
I did not
by
read
Michael
the Surrender Experiment.
Okay.
By the way, future reference, anybody listening, 9.5 times out of 10, Theresa will ask me if I read a book, and 9.5 times out of 10, I have not read it. Unless she has recently recommended it to me and I've listened to it on Audible. But I'm getting there. I'm about 3 books in, so baby steps, everybody. Maybe by episode 478, that will shift a little bit, and there'll be less of me saying, no, I have not read that.
It's okay.
That's a side note.
I thought about starting a blog called Books I've Read So You Don't Have to.
I like that.
Yeah, it's not just for you.
Right, I assume not.
But it would be helpful.
Be helpful for our podcasting conversations.
It's just an interesting book, and he talks about some things. But either way, I mean, I guess I just feel like expectation involves like a selfishness, when in reality, like, I don't feel like an expectation is necessarily a judgmental, a bad, you didn't meet
Right.
it. I feel like there's this negative spin on an expectation.
Great.
I don't agree with it.
And that's not what I'm saying at all.
Okay,
So
then maybe that's my disconnect.
Yeah, so I'm not saying it's bad to have expectations. I'm saying you're correct. 99% of the world runs on expectations. I'm more philosophizing, what if we didn't have expectations? What would be different? If you had no expectations but intentions.
But how is an expectation different from an intention?
Well, I intend to win the gold medal.
And when you don't win it, you're
That was an expectation.
I was gonna say, like, come on.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean I can sit and I think it's really all about the response and the reaction, right? It's the expectation comes from the person having that expectation, as opposed to the person behaving in the way that is changing expectations, and that's really my whole point, I guess.
All right, so okay, so
You've got a friend.
I'm gonna go relationship here.
Go.
So say you're in a loving partnership. So say I'm dating someone and we both want the same things, right? We both want to be in love. We both want to, be each other's best friend. We both want to communicate without having to speak, and not just like certain things. Like you want to share a complete mental universe with someone and have a deep kind of binding connectivity. I don't know, something like that. And you want to buy a house, you have these goals, things like that. But then the other person, they're like, yeah, that's exactly what I want too. We're both agreeing on this. This is what we want. And then that other person just is not doing the things that they have said that they will do.
Right. So,
And say for me, it's like I'm for example's sake on the other side, and it's like, all right, so we agreed on these things, but you're doing the opposite.
right.
Is that is my expectation not being met, or did you commit to something? We agreed on it.
Right.
We set a standard.
Yes.
We set objectives, goals, the whole thing. We're moving forward.
Yes.
And then you're just kind of falling off the track.
Right.
Is that an expectation not being met?
Yes.
Why is that an expectation versus somebody just not meeting a commitment?
Because your expectation was that they would honor that commitment.
But isn't that a standard?
No. I mean,
Why
it could
not?
be. It's your standard. My standard, so I'll use me being you. My standard is that I expect people to keep their commitments. That's why I asked for truth and communication. So my standards are the people I surround myself with or connect with or want to be in a relationship with are this way.
And you expect that those people are a
And you
certain
expect
way.
it. Right, absolutely. So I'm not saying, again, expectations aren't bad. and standards aren't bad as much as I'm just if all of a sudden when they so this person all of a sudden is falling behind and they're not doing what they said they're going to do, and you are like, what the f? Like we said you were going to do this.
Shit is in our podcast name. You can use the F word.
I could say fuck.
Yeah.
You're like, what the fuck? Is that better?
Yes.
Thank you. So if you're saying that, then I guess it's all about the energy. So you're getting frustrated, you're getting stressed based on what, you could. It makes sense that you are. I'm not saying you shouldn't, even though I don't like to say that. But again, it's not that why wouldn't you have expectations? I'm just saying if you're frustrated with this person, then you realize, well, it's because I'm expecting to be somebody that they're not.
Well,
they've just proven that they're not who I expected them to be.
Or they've just proven that they're not who they have said they are.
Absolutely.
Why is the word expectation necessary there?
Well, you brought up the example.
Yeah, but I don't feel like that's an expectation, though. I feel like that's just an indicator. It's saying, like, all right, you're not that. Like, sorry, next.
Yeah, but you do expect somebody. You were expecting something. You're expecting them to hold the standards they said they were going to hold.
I just don't know. Like, I see your usage, but I feel like you're really attaching it to anything and everything. Like, if you have any attachment period, it's an expectation. I don't necessarily think that that's true.
So if you're expecting somebody to behave someplace...
I have an attachment to chocolate cake. I don't give a shit if it's really good, if it has icing, if it doesn't have icing, if there are sprinkles.
But you're expecting it to be chocolate.
No. Yeah, actually. I am... So I see what you're saying, but I feel like that's a logical fallacy. Because then words don't matter. The sign is what it represents. The signified is the actual object of it. So there's that shirt that says it has a picture of a pipe, and it says this is not a pipe, this is merely the picture of a pipe.
Okay.
That's what you're talking about. It's a logical fallacy, and it's a mental disconnect that disbands the entirety of actual... Like, it doesn't make any... Like, it makes no sense in an actual way. Because it's like saying, oh, I'm going to go buy a couch, and you come home with what everybody else says is a mattress, but you're calling it a couch because you want it to be a couch.
And you want to sit on it.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, well, okay, good luck in your own la-la land, but, like, it's not an expectation, it's shared communication. It's actually saying and doing. It's the sign and the signified.
But if somebody wasn't doing the things, but you thought they were going to, would you be so let's just say that's your house. Somebody comes home with a mattress, and you're like, what the fuck? Where's my couch? That was your expectation. They were bringing home a couch.
Because that's what they said.
Right.
But I don't think that's an expectation.
But then you're well,
so then where does trust come in the world?
Listen, I'm not saying you shouldn't.
I'm asking a question. Where does trust come in?
Yeah, trust comes in wherever you want it to. But through that breaking of expectations or people's behavior showing that they are not meeting your standards / expectations, you know what level of trust to hold. So depending on whom you're surrounding yourself with, you have trust until proven otherwise. And that might be until they've let go of your,
Yeah, but I've met a lot of people that they don't start out with trust. You have to earn trust, and you earn respect.
Right.
And then there are other people that just blanket it. It's like, you're a human being. Like, I trust you. I respect you. It's cool. And then you can chip away at that. Like, I've had people chip away at trust and respect.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily...
I think the whole point from even bringing this up was, like, so we are in control of our reaction. And when we hold any expectation to anybody for anything, we are then putting ourselves in a position to make a choice as to when that expectation, if not when, but if that expectation is not met, how we want to behave. And by gaining control over that more often than not, you then take more control of all areas of your life.
I mean, I get it. I still think that there's there's something very flawed here when it's like, I expected you to buy a couch. I'm attached to a couch. And it's like, I just feel like that it's just like, really? Like, come on.
So you just don't have any expectations.
Well, I always say if you have no expectations, you're not disappointed. But, like, if I'm going to buy a car, I'm buying a car. I'm not buying a bicycle.
Right. But you would make the choice not to do that. You make the choice to go find a car dealership.
Yeah, but is that an expectation that if you tell me you're going to sell me a car and you give me a bicycle, is that an expectation not met? I don't even think
yes.
It's a commitment not met. It's not an expectation.
Listen, you know what we're going to put in the comments section of this Facebook post?
I want to strangle you right now.
The definition of expectation from Webster.
You know what?
That's it. Look
Fuck
for
it. We're looking it
We
up
got
because I
4
can't
minutes.
do this. My brain is hurting. It's just a Thursday afternoon. I'm trying to do some stuff. Eat a banana. Good banana, by the way.
Thank you very much. Yeah. What do you got?
I
Webster.
have to look it up.
All right, she's gonna look up. In the meantime, I just want to say to everybody out there, check your expectations. No, and again, I'm not saying they're bad to have at all. I expect certain things of a lot of people. To run a functioning company, you need to have expectations. You need to have standards. To have a smoothly running family, to have different types of relationships, you have expectations. I'm just saying when we get stressed or emotionally disappointed or frustrated with somebody, we could sit in that for 10 seconds to 10 years, but all of it's based on our expectations, not who who that person is or what they did. If somebody breaks your heart, it's not because they did something to you, it's because you expected them not to break your heart. That's the part that's frustrating.
Definition of expect, because expecting is a conjugation.
What about expectation?
That's a conjugation.
Oh, thank you.
I had to go back to the root word. So definition of expect, to look forward. This one says to be pregnant. To anticipate or look forward to the coming or occurrence of something.
So yes, I was looking forward to a car or a couch.
But that's like, I feel like there's an anticipatory part to that.
Yeah.
When it's like, if you just wake up and there's no gravity, it's not like I just expected gravity to be here today. It's just like, it just wasn't. There's a difference. Do you know what I mean?
No, I got nothing on that one.
It's a non sequitur.
Oh, that one makes sense.
Stop it, whatever. You know what I mean.
non
It doesn't
sequitur.
connect.
All right.
It's a non-sequential thing. Like, you're talking about macro, micro, and then actionable, theoretical.
Interesting. No, so this could be our first episode 16, the one where we did not agree.
Look, there are a lot of times we don't agree. This is the first time it's on tape, though.
That's what I meant, in a podcast situation. That's
Is that what this is?
The one. This is definitely a podcast situation. Closing thoughts. What do you got?
You're crazy. I'm just kidding. Well, that's true.
That could have been opening thoughts.
I don't know. I mean, I can see how attachment, want, desire, and expectation are all similar, but I feel like expectation puts an extra level of it has to be this way kind of thing. Whereas...
Now, you ready?
Yeah.
That is you having an expectation.
It's the definition. I'm surmising a difference.
Okay.
How is that an expect? This is like microaggressions. No offense to anybody out there who's into like being woke as fuck, but like I don't get microaggressions.
I don't even know what they are.
Microaggressions is this idea that like if I'm walking down the street and there's a bunch of guys walking across the other street and they all happen to be Hispanic.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't know, some other
dressed as thugs.
Whatever. See, that would be don't say that.
Okay.
Like,
just Hispanic.
But that's a microaggression right there.
Okay.
Oh, they're dressed as thugs because I said they're Hispanic.
I was giving a different example altogether.
But do you see what I mean? How I'm telling you that that's a microaggression, and you're like, no, I was just saying like I'm trying to make it a more threatening situation, regardless of what race these people in your theoretical thing are. Yeah. That would be a microaggression. It's like these innate, supposedly cultural things that we do that are actually racist, but it's like it becomes a microaggression. I'm not even fully aware of how to even explain it, but it drives me crazy because it's like, no, I didn't cross the street because there were a bunch of Hispanic men walking toward me. I crossed the street because my car's over there. So, no. Like, that's what I feel like it is. It's like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
No sense. So that's Theresa's takeaway.
I just feel like I need more time, and I need another banana.
That's fine. We're out of bananas. We're out of time. I have to
wrap my head around this
today.
Because I still don't understand. What is expectation versus standard? What's a standard?
Well, I think they're two different things.
Oh, now they're different things.
Well, expectation can be a standard. I can have standards, and I expect you to meet them. But if I expect a couch to be delivered, that's not a standard. You know what I mean? On time with a friendly customer service might be a standard.
No, that's an expectation.
Right. It's both.
Oh, my God. I can't.
She's Theresa Jerezga.
Wait. No, she is, but not yet.
Go ahead.
What is your closing whatever the fuck?
My closing whatever the fuck is... when you recognize that you're angry... when you recognize that you are upset with somebody.
Like right now.
Based on their behavior or insistence on expectations versus standards. Take a moment. Look at the feelings. Is that based on something they did, or is it because I expected them not to do it? And in either case, who's really in control? I am.
Okay, so I get all of that. I get more into the semantics of it, but you're right.
Yeah, you kind of lost me in several metaphors.
So, I have to re-listen to this episode just
right.
to make sure that I understand myself.
Yeah, we're all on the same page.
All right.
Are you Theresa Resga?
I am.
Nice.
Are you Ryan Stanley?
All day.
Every day.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Don't expect too much.
Wait a second. The expectation is a musical suggestion. Give it.
Oh my God,
Give
I wasn't
it here,
even ready.
Malfoy. Come on. Top of your head. Last song you listened to.
I was out in the office. I was listening to music. I didn't even know what it was. So before that, you know what? I'm gonna go with Arcade Fire.
Arcade Fire. I like them a lot.
They were a
really great concert.
Ken Scelfo, Uncle Ken, our favorite
Uncle
person.
Ken.
I spent some time with him this weekend, and he's going to see them. And so he suggested I listen to them a little bit more often. So I started to this week. And so Arcade Fire, check them out. I don't have a particular recommendation. I've heard 3 songs so far. I think it's. I like the vastness of the music. I like that it's
eclectic.
And it seems like they've got a large group. I mean, it's not just like dudes on a guitar. There's like all sorts of instruments, and there's female vocals and all sorts of cool stuff. So it's powerful. It's.
Would you say you're setting the expectations pretty high?
I'm just setting them for what I've heard.
Setting you up for failure, listener. He's setting you up for
And
failure.
if you don't like it, that means your expectations suck and you shouldn't have any. No, that's not how I want to end this podcast.
I just can't. Come on, people.
All right, let me get microaggressive with you.
All right, stop it. I'm gonna get in trouble at some point. Someone's gonna come back and be like, "Remember that episode you did about microaggressions? How could you be so insensitive?" If there's someone out there who can teach me more and learn me up, I am open and interested.
She's ready.
SMRT.
Hit us on social media. Actually, this is great. This is a great episode because there was some diversity, and I'd love anybody's opinion, thoughts on this whole topic.
You're Ryan Stanley.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah,
and she is definitely Theresa Resga all day long.
Arcade Fire.
High five.
High five.
We'll see you next week, guys.
Whoosh.